Welcome to the premiere episode of the Cuidate El Paso podcast, where we talk about all the things, people, and places that El Pasoans care about. In this episode, we talk about a subject near and dear to our own hearts, beer. But not just any beer, local beer produced by our friends at DeadBeach Brewery. We will talk to Veronica, who tells us all about the history of DeadBeach and their plans for their upcoming 10th anniversary bash. We'll also talk about their commitment to local organizations and in particular the Rio Grande Cancer Foundation's Brovember campaign. Later, we'll talk all about men's health issues. We'll bust common myths and outline some of the areas where men need to take care of themselves. In other words, Cuidate El Paso. The Cuidate El Paso podcast is made possible in part by our sponsor, Kemp Smith, who proudly supports the Rio Grande Cancer Foundation's events and initiatives. When you go to a bar or restaurant with a brewery in it, a lot is going on behind the scenes. Depending on whether the establishment is a craft brewery, microbrewery, brew pub, or gastropub, there are certain characteristics that help define both the beer and the establishment. DeadBeach Brewery is known for being the longest-running and most popular craft breweries in El Paso. They have made their mark with bold flavors and bold moves in the industry. In recent years, they have expanded their operation, opened a gastropub at their location on Durazno Street, and have built a reputation for not only maintaining a commitment to the quality of their products, but they have also shown a true commitment to the El Paso community. Our guest today is Veronica Hernandez, Advertising and Marketing Director for DeadBeach Brewery, who is busily working on their 10-year anniversary party. Veronica, welcome to Cuidate El Paso. To begin with, tell us a little bit about DeadBeach Brewery, how it began, what the idea was, and more importantly, what does the name mean? Tell us about all of the beginnings of DeadBeach.
Yes, of course. It's funny. That's one of the most asked questions of when people come by to the brewery is, how do we get our name? So DeadBeach is now 10 years in running. Actually, on November 1st is our official birthday. And we are the longest running craft brewery, as you had mentioned. It started in our founder's garage. Gabriel Montoya started this his beer, I guess, maybe journey, if you will, in his garage, brewing beers for his friends and having people come together over something that he created as his own craft. It became very popular. People loved it. And with one of the more staple beers out there, which was the Abuela Stout, which we still do brew here and carry, he kind of really shifted his focus to making sure the brewery was an official, place where people can come together. So he joined teams with Jason Hunt, who is the owner of the brewery, and they partnered up and we started downtown. That downtown location was there for quite a few years until we moved over to this new 3200 Durazno location a couple of years ago that is now open to the public.
Explain to us, why DeadBeach?
The way the founder always presents it is that we are all desert and no beach. You know, millions and millions of years ago, we had a lot of water here at one point, but now it's just all desert. So we are a dead beach by heart and design. And now we're a fountain that brings beer to everyone. Hopefully that'll help us a little with all that dryness.
A lot of thirsty El Pasoans out there are very happy about DeadBeach. Really, what's great about this place is that it is a lot to take in. You've got the actual brewing operation, you've got a pub, you've got all sorts of things going on here. What is that? How is that different from the downtown location? I mean, what is it that really expanded from point A to point B?
Making this beer to represent El Paso amongst beers all over the region is really what their focus was in the beginning. And so starting in that facility was 541 square feet of brewing space. And if we really wanted to make that next jump into taking the beer to different areas, not only in town, because at that point we were already over capacity, getting it to different cities beyond El Paso. And then, in the future, hopefully in different states, New Mexico, all the way to California, Louisiana, that was really going to be something that we weren't going to be able to accomplish in a small brewing space. So moving over here, we have a 30-barrel system, making us an official regional craft brewery. And that will allow us to brew a lot more beer, a lot faster than we ever have before. And that's really the reason why moving from downtown to South Central El Paso happened, to be able to make more beer.
That's fascinating because, like almost everything it seems like in DeadBeach's history, you all are bucking the trend trend, because a lot of people are talking about how microbreweries or smaller breweries are not doing well, but that's not the case here. You all are really succeeding in the marketplace, and as well as creating a name and a brand for yourselves. In fact, certainly 10 years of hard work have gone into that. But what do you perceive the philosophy of the DeadBeach Brewery to be? What is the business ethos that has led to its success?
Really, this brewery, with the founder, the owner, and of course, the mantra of the team that we have today is really to be local and really understand the people of our community, and taking that heart and that blood, sweat, and beers is kind of what we go with.
Beers. You gotta love that.
Spread that local love that we have for our community throughout other areas of even the nation. So we can go anywhere and talk about El Paso. What better way than to do it with beer, something that people can come together and have a good time with, and just talk about our hometown over here on the border.
So your commitment to the industry is reflected in your commitment to our community. And so you're sharing, a lot of the El Paso love kind of one pint at a time. So about that, tell us about some of the more creative partnerships that you have started at DeadBeach. I know that you all have done some amazing things with UTEP. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, of course. We always want to focus on giving back to the community who has brought us this far. And it's really going to be, as we talk a little bit more, especially about our party, what the onset of what this establishment is all about. So more recently, we are the official craft beer of the UTEP Miners, and we put together Miner Brew, which is a beer made for everyone who bleeds orange, if you will. Every UTEP person out there, whether they attended or not, or hope to in the future, 21 and over, of course. We wanted to make a beer that people can enjoy at the game or at their homes, watching the games, or just at any time. So we have the partnership sponsorship of UTEP that we are a part of. We also support the Rhinos, who are obviously also a local sports entity in town. And then we tap into other things. We tap into local schools. We've sponsored Coronado in the past. We've done stuff with Eastwood. There's just so much that we can do to give back. And we partner all over for different means here with us as well, for different types of collaboratives. And I think at the end, it kind of really shows what we want to do with the beer, which is share it with everyone.
Speaking of collaborations, we are very grateful at the Rio Grande Cancer Foundation to have you as one of our collaborators in our Brovember campaign. And what you have done for us starting last year is you created a Brovember brew. Tell us about that. Tell us about how you all decided to roll out the Brovember brew. It's a blueberry Hopfenweizen, is that right?
Yes.
And so let's talk about that. What's the beer like, and how do people enjoy it?
Yes. So Brovember Brew is an awesome initiative that we, roll out in November. So actually the beer will be out on November 1st, and it's going to be available the entire month or until it sells out. So hopefully people will come and, tap those kegs. And what we did is we put together, or I say we, really our brew crew, our production team, put together a blueberry Hefeweizen, a 5.4% beer. That is, a great intro beer for anyone that may not drink craft. There is that, a little bit of fruitiness and sweetness to it. And then definitely for all of our hef lovers, they're really going to love this wheat-based beer that is made specifically to give back to Rio Grande Cancer Foundation. So we're happy to put that out. Anyone that comes through in the month of November and orders a pint of this beer will give $1 back to the Cancer Foundation. And we are going to just try to raise as much as we can and really try to make a difference.
That's amazing. And that's certainly a great way to spread some of the message. Now, while there's a little bit of a disconnect in that you think, well, is beer healthy? It can be if it's done in moderation, but also
for food group.
That's right. But also we know that if we want to reach the younger market and kind of get them to start thinking about health issues, whether it's their own or their parents or whatever, it's the time to do it in a nice, friendly environment and over a beer. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think, when you're trying to tap into a demographic that may not be, as interested in learning about their health or as focused on it because they are a little bit of a younger demographic. Let's pull them in. Let's make them aware that prevention and early awareness is really what it's all about. And so come together over a pint and, really kind of learn what the cause is about and have fun, while learning it. Drink a beer.
That's fabulous. And so we're going to talk about two parties next that you have coming up. First and foremost is your 10th anniversary party. Tell us about what people can come to expect for that, and when is it, what the times are, and what other special events do you have around that?
We're hosting the anniversary party on Saturday, November 8th, and it's going to be from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Here at the brewery, of course.
Yes, 3200 Durazno. Our 10-year anniversary party is taking a little bit of a different spin. We've always hosted events. We actually are pretty well known for hosting community events where people, not just craft beer lovers, anyone can come. They're usually all ages and they're definitely always free to attend. And we put these events together to bring the community together. This one in particular is for our 10 years. And so what we're doing that is different is that we are focusing on giving back to the community. So not only will we have Brovember out there that will help with the donations back, but we are also going to be partnering with a couple of local charities, the Child Crisis Center and a couple of others, where we are going to try to do 10 years and 10K in donations back. So we are trying to raise $10,000 in funds or goods that these charities are in need of, especially right now with, everything that's going on, where we can give back to the community for being so supportive of our business.
So patrons can come to your anniversary party, have a good time, spend a little money, and feel confident to know that some of that money is going right back into the organizations that could put it to good use in our community.
Exactly. So that 10K goal, DeadBeach is going to start kicking it off with a $2,500 donation straight to it. Anyone that donates either by funds or an item that day will get a free drink token that they can redeem for a drink on the house for whatever they like when they come in the doors. We're going to have live music all day, bands like the Roulettes and Kikimora. We'll have DJs. We're also going to have a vendor market. So a lot going on. We're going to be canning live. This is the first time we've ever done it. First time I've seen it in El Paso, where we're canning live. People can get a freshly canned beer off the line. That's going to be our Toma. And then we're also going to have 10, which is going to be our malt liquor specialty release made with Jolly Ranchers, a 10% ABV beer that'll be released that day.
That all sounds really like a good time. I was here at the party last year, and I had my share of Brovember brew and enjoyed all the vendors and all the food. Tell us a little bit about that, too, because that you all have really transitioned from the downtown location to, expanding your location to a gastropub so that you all have a full menu. And so tell us about that.
Yes. So Jason Hunt, the owner, he is a chef by trade. That is his background. And so what he brings is obviously that flair, that food, that love and passion for the food service industry in general to, our portfolio. So we have really focused on the restaurant service piece of the industry for the brewery in terms of, offering lunch. We offer dinner. We offer brunch. And these are all dishes with a Chuco flair to it. We want to make sure we stay true to our roots. And then we incorporate in a lot of our dishes some of the beer that we brew here is to give it that unique flavor that really no one can replicate.
Sure.
So that's what we have to offer in terms of our restaurant piece.
And you also have the opportunity to perfectly pair your menu with your host of beer.
Yes, exactly.
So, that makes it all that much more enjoyable. We're going to talk a little bit now about specifically promoting the Brovember brew. I know that in conjunction with the Rio Grande Cancer Foundation, you all will be hosting a pint party on the 25th of November. So tell us what that entails. I've never been to a pint party, so I'd like to learn.
Yeah, so it's going to be a pint night here. And so what's going to happen that day is we are going to gather everyone that would like to come out and help us with this donation back to the foundation. And when you arrive, you can order a blueberry hef bar Brovember, and you would receive a commemorative glass that you can take home as part of your order there. It would be free included. And then you're going to get a pin. And then we're also going to be raffling off a few of the gift baskets that we have available for our guests that come by and order Brovember brew. That's all happening all at the same time. So we want, to kind of end this with a big kick. So come by and join us.
Speaking of kicks, the pin that people will be getting at the party is a pin that says Cuidate, which we think is clever because it will be kicking off our Cuidate campaign, which is all about men talking to other men about their health and hopefully raising awareness about some of the issues as we get older. So that's really a cool thing to have or to gift. So you'll get a pint, a glass, a Cuidate pin, and you can enter free raffles. So it should be a nice little happy hour. What are the hours on the 25th for that time?
We are going to be hosting that pint night from 5 to 7. So come by. Make sure you come during that time to have a really good time.
Excellent. And so all of this information will be out on social media, but mostly they can find information about DeadBeach Brewery on your website, which is
DeadBeach.com.
Great. Well, it sounds like you're super busy. I appreciate you taking some time at this incredible place, which means that the minute these mics get turned off, I'll be having a Brovember brew preview myself. But are very happy to be part of this partnership, and we appreciate DeadBeach, but most importantly, we appreciate DeadBeach for being an incredible citizen in our community, a progressive citizen in our community, and an incredible place to have a good time. Thank you, Veronica.
Each November, the Rio Grande Cancer Foundation organizes the Brovember campaign, which is designed to inspire men to take control of their own health by taking actions to help live happier, healthier, longer lives. Many men wait until they perceive a problem with their health to see a doctor. Many times, men do not prioritize eating a healthier diet, getting exercise, or curbing their drinking until they begin to not feel well. But the good news is that simply by taking small, easy-to-achieve steps, they can begin their journey to a healthier lifestyle. That is why this Brovember, the Rio Grande Cancer Foundation has launched Cuidate.org. The new initiative is designed to provide men with easy-to-follow tips, general health guidelines, and motivation to begin to adapt a better lifestyle using real-life, straightforward guide talk. Today, we are talking to Ted Escobedo, who is leading the initiative for Brovember and the Cuidate.org campaign. Ted, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Why November? What brings this initiative to the November spotlight?
Well, actually, you know that it kind of was born out of the idea of Movember, which was really popular several years ago, where men would either stop shaving and grow their big mustache out in a way to draw attention to men's health issues. And so in analyzing that, we kind of felt that it was a little too vague. I mean, people had mustaches, but it really wasn't connecting or delivering the messages in terms of helping men improve their lifestyle to live a healthier life. So this became Brovember. So it's sort of like the idea that men are talking to other men about their health, which we think is a great way to start a conversation. In fact, that's why we called it Brovember, is that we wanted to create a real dialogue between men to talk about health issues.
And let's be frank here, and that is that men don't like to talk about health issues. It is not a common thing that's going to happen between two bros.
No, exactly. And, you know, one of the things that I found interesting in doing the research is that what we've learned is that men typically don't go to a doctor until much later in life. Women, to speak in general terms, are kind of enveloped into the medical world at a much younger age, whereas men tend to kind of do their own thing and not really kind of wait things out and not really go to a doctor just as a preventative measure, but just wait until there's a problem. And so what ends up happening is they don't really establish any connection with the doctor. They don't really have any connection to understand even what their body is doing in terms of blood work or any of those types of things. And so if you wait until a little bit later in life, you may be hit with surprises that can be very avoidable just by modifying your behavior and checking in with the doctor once a year. So that's kind of our major message in terms of Brovember, is to just get men to start thinking about their health.
And it's my experience that usually women are the people that drag men into health. So this makes a lot of sense, and you're getting men to think differently about themselves and about their health issues. So in that way, you are changing the range of how men approach their health issues.
Yeah, I think that it's true that I think the younger generation of men are certainly learning to become more health conscious at a younger age. I think that that the internet certainly helps with that. There's lots of information available at people's fingertips, but it's still one of those things that men don't like to talk about. Interestingly enough, though, the older we get, the more we can't help but talk about our health. Like I have friends that I've made at the gym that are in their 80s, and the first thing they talk about is what their doctor they're seeing and what process they're going through. But meanwhile, a man in his 30s will be right next to him, and he'll stay quiet on the subject because he's not comfortable yet to talk about those things. And so what we want to do is to help demystify the conversation and to make it okay to talk about not just physical health, but mental health as well.
And also, and that's a really good point. The mental health issue is something that is not spoken about a lot or often addressed by men or by society as a whole. But I also wanted to talk about, you said men in their 30s. So this initiative is aiming for what age range of would you like to begin these conversations? Should men be addressing their issues?
It really has to do with the stages of a man's life. I mean, certainly the much younger population needs to be worried about things like testicular cancer. So the message to that younger group, and we're talking about men from anywhere from their teens to their late 20s, to do regular testicular self-exams and that sort of thing. And so you can find all that information at cuidate.org about how to do that and when to do that. But that might be, that's kind of your first step, is to just kind of be aware what's going on with your body. As we get older, there are certain signposts that we have to reach that would require a little bit more of an effort from the man to go and see a doctor. There's, screenings for different types of cancers and that sort of thing. But honestly, that's a doctor's job. That's not, in terms of the Cuidate and the Brovember campaign, that's not our job. Our job is just simply to start the conversation, get men to talk about it, get them to think about it, and get them to overcome any kind of trepidation or fear they might have about getting any test that their doctor might recommend. So the number one thing a man at any age, particularly those that have passed puberty and are now finding themselves alone in the world in charge of their own healthcare, they do need to stay on top of those things and see a doctor on a regular basis.
You can see that. The other thing is, here in El Paso, we have a real Chicano kind of flavor to things, and there's a lot of machismo tied to it. And so I think that being a strong man is important to men and how they perceive themselves and how they like to be perceived. So how do you get a male to admit that, I may not be feeling so good, I may need to go look at something? How do you introduce those things?
Well, interestingly enough, I think one of the keys is part of this campaign is not just generated towards men, but rather to the women that love the men in their lives as well, because it seems that a lot of times, their spouse or their partner or their sister or their mother would say, you know what, it's time for us to go to a doctor because you need to, take care of yourself, that sort of thing. So that's one way to do it. But you're right. There's a lot of machismo tied into how men want to be strong or perceived as strong. And so dispelling some of those myths to show that, it takes a great deal of courage and a great deal of decisiveness to confront some of these health issues. And that is, after all, being more of a man than anything else. Because if you really want to turn the tables on somebody that's thinking like that and say, it's a little bit more cowardly to just ignore the problem than it is to face it head on. That, to me, is being a man.
Sure, absolutely. Meeting things head on. Isn't that the way that men always like to address things? Is like, I want to put this right in front of me and I want to take care of business.
Right. And exactly. And, one of the things that's interesting is that most of these men are husbands and fathers. And so if their child or their wife were to fall ill or needed to see a doctor, they would probably be the first ones driving them to wherever they needed to go to. Yet they do kind of hesitate to do it for themselves. So that's kind of a unique situation when it comes to men's health care. And it's one of those things that we are just now really starting to talk about in terms of it being okay. And part of the male experience is you have to take care of your health, particularly if you want to continue to take care of the people that you love. Exactly.
Isn't that ironic? In order for you to be a caregiver and a caretaker, you have to be cared for.
And we're not, like I said, with the Brovember campaign, it's all about healthy living. It's not about, oh my God, you have to go and do all these medical tests and you have to do this and you have to do that. It's not quite so regimented. It's very simple. It boils down to some very basic things. Those things are eating well, making some changes in modifications to your diet so that you're making a little bit healthier choices as opposed to all bad choices. Limiting some drinking. A lot of men have problems with overindulging when it comes to alcohol. So you do have to kind of watch that because it does cause health problems down the line. And then getting a little bit of exercise. I'm not saying that you have to run a marathon or that you have to be a professional football player, but you know what? Taking a walk, getting your kids out and going to the park or playing a game or picking up a sport, if that's what you'd like to do. These are not things that are very difficult. These are very easy things and that can be very easy to adapt. And that's kind of our message. It's not a revolution. It's simply a small step to take in the right direction.
And having good mental health is usually part of what being an overall healthy person is. And so I think and understand that exercise and moving brings better mental health outlooks.
Without a doubt. In my own personal journey of wellness, I was living a very unhealthy lifestyle for a big part of my life. And then I realized, a little bit walking my dog, going swimming, those sorts of things, that leads to all sorts of different things so that it opens up avenues for stress relief and for management, just time management. And these kind of things have an overall effect on your life. So just taking a walk on a regular basis helps clear your mind, gets you breathe some fresh air, get some vitamin D in you. These are very simple things to do. And
we are prone to mismanaging our stresses like overeating and sitting sedentary and zoning out in front of the television set. So all of the things that are counterintuitive to being a healthy person.
Right. And that's the kind of the goal with the Brovember campaign. It's just motivational. It's sharing information, being educational, motivational, and allowing men to make their own choices about their health, but at the same time, make a little bit more informed decisions. So that's the number one goal, is simply awareness raising and hopefully getting men to take a small step to a better future.
Thank you, Ted. For more information, go to cuidate.org.
November is Brovember, and we have a special for anybody signing up for the Brovember newsletter. It's a quarterly newsletter filled with great tips, easy to follow instructions and recipes and exercise ideas. And if you want to subscribe to our quarterly newsletter for free this month, you'll get a free Cuidate lapel pin, and you'll be entered in a drawing for a $300 gift card. So sign up today at cuidate.org.
And now, Cuidate El Paso busts a few man myths. When it comes to talking to men about their health, many of them chose to believe common misconceptions about the subject. So we thought we would break a few down. Myth number 1.
I don't need to go to a doctor. I feel fine.
One pervasive myth is that men don't need to visit doctors regularly unless they feel ill. However, preventive health visits are crucial for detecting conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or diabetes early on. Regular screenings can catch problems before symptoms become apparent, significantly increasing the chances of effective treatment and management.
Myth number 2.
I don't want to talk about my prostate. I don't want anybody to touch my prostate.
Regular prostate screenings should be a priority for men, especially those over the age of 50 or with a family history of cancer, as in early stages of prostate cancer often present no symptoms, and so the earlier that they catch it, the better the outcome is.
Myth number 3.
I don't want to go and talk to a counselor about my problems. I don't need to talk to anybody. I think I've got it all figured out.
Men are frequently taught to hide their emotions, leading many to believe that acknowledging mental health issues is a sign of weakness.
Myth number 4.
I go to the gym. I'm healthy. I'm fit. I'm strong.
While regular exercise is an essential component of good health, it doesn't guarantee immunity from disease. Other factors such as genetics, diet, and regular health screenings also significantly impact overall health. Even physically fit men can have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, or other hidden health issues. This has been the premiere episode of Cuidate El Paso, wishing all men and all El Pasoans health and happy living.
For more information or to hear our top 20 health tips for men, visit cuidate.org.